Alright guys, been a minute since I've done a video, but I don't know, I guess I've kind of retired. But this is my granddaughter's, you can't really see, yeah you can see it there, alright. This is my granddaughter's 2016 Mustang. It's the EcoBoost, little 4-cylinder. And recently, they all went on vacation and they took this car to a shop to have it gone over because she's in college. Golly, I can't walk straight. I don't drink, I promise. And so she took it to the shop, or they did, Mom and Dad. And the shop told them the motor wasn't any good. Said, you need to get rid of it. Too much blow by. So they called me. I said, I don't know, it don't make sense. I said, no, it don't make sense. Car's only got 125,000 miles on it. So I'll show you what I found and you can comment, see what you think about the deal. So they bought this car from a driveline or something in Dallas, Texas. And they presented it to be, you know, we buy cars, run them through the shop, fix everything's wrong with them, which was a lie. And we went and test drove it, and under hard acceleration, it had a little misfire, 6,000 RPMs. And I said, you know what, we ain't even gonna worry about it because she's a new driver at 16, and she'll never notice that. If she does, then we know we got an aggressive driver, right? Or her boyfriend's an aggressive driver, either way. Well, it's been 2 years, nobody ever noticed it. Well, the shop went over it, told them it needed brakes, and it needed coil packs and spark plugs, which I already knew it needed coil packs and spark plugs or plug wires. So that wasn't a surprise. Brakes are not a surprise. I think it had 110,000 when we got it. But it's been a reliable, dependable car. Had a few issues that, you know, they didn't tell us about, but minor. So anyway, I put spark plugs in it, coil packs in it, put drilled and slotted rotors all the way around, ceramic pads all the way around, got it ready for it to go, checked the engine out, and I'll show you why they said it was bad, and why I'll explain how it works and why it's not bad. So I'm gonna get it unlocked, get the hood open, crank it up, and then I'll be right back with you. Yeah, I wish I had somebody here to rev it a little bit. It's got a pretty neat exhaust note for a 4-cylinder. Alright, I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera. It may not. Sounds horrible, doesn't it? See that? But you put your hand over it. So what's happening here? That looks bad, doesn't it? If you're an old mechanic, well, you think that motor's junk. But what's happening here is this engine is direct injected. And a direct injected engine doesn't have any vacuum in the intake, so it can't pull all of that out like the older cars. Now, here's the old spark plugs. See how pretty brown that is? Now, one of these had a little oil on it. It had a little oil in the well, not much. We're going to eventually have to do a valve cover gasket. But you see those plugs are nice brown. If the engine was junk, wore out, they'd be black, carboned up, look terrible. So I'm calling it as a good motor. Runs good, got plenty of power, doesn't smoke. Starts right up when it's hot. Good oil pressure. There's the back rotors. All right, let me button her up. We'll finish this video off. All right, so what you were seeing there is, like I said earlier, the older carbureted cars had to have vacuum in the intake, because if the air's not moving fast, it won't carry particles of fuel with it. So if you had a vacuum leak, if you've worked on carbureted stuff, if you have a major vacuum leak, it won't run because it's pulling air in easy. It's not pulling it through the carburetor, and it's not bringing fuel with it. Well, when they went to the later model, fuel injection, in the late 80s and early 90s up till, well, cars did it before trucks, but I'm a truck guy, so that's where I got most of my year knowledge from, you know, what year things happened, I mean. Because I know cars went direct injected way before trucks did. But I think trucks were normal fuel injected from 87 throttle body up to 2013 was still injectors in the intake. And 14 and on is direct injected. It's LT, not LS. So when you have air like a carburetor, if it's not moving enough air in the intake, it can't draw enough air through the carburetor to bring fuel with it. Like if you got a brake hose, you know, a hose, vacuum hose to your brake booster, or a bad brake booster, then it pulls air in there easier than it can pull it through the carburetor. So it doesn't pick up any fuel. Well, the later fuel injected sprayed fuel into the intake, like the throttle body. It just, you know, they just bolted a unit on top of the intake, so it sprayed fuel in the intake. So you still had to have vacuum, or that fuel would just set on the floor of the intake and not ever make its way to the cylinders. Unless it was flooded, you know, then it would get enough vapors, and then it would run and die and act up, wouldn't run right. So they have to maintain the vacuum so the air is moving at a high enough speed that the fuel particles stay suspended in the air until they get into the combustion chamber. Well, when they went to the direct injected, which is what this little Mustang is, it's spraying fuel directly into the combustion chamber, in the head like a spark plug. It's spraying it directly into the combustion chamber, not in the intake, not under the throttle valve. So now the intake doesn't need to move a lot of air. It doesn't have to be under vacuum, because the air will flow. You know, it'll fill whatever hole is empty. You know, when that valve opens, if there's vacuum in that cylinder, that no matter how much volume's in that intake, it's going to fill the cylinder. And then the fuel sprays right in there, so it doesn't need the vacuum to carry fuel particles. So they've done away with the vacuum in the intake. So now they don't have any vacuum to work your shutters in the dash and your brake booster and all that kind of stuff. Like my old red truck, my 16 Silverado, it had a belt drive vacuum pump that would work the brakes, brake booster. And I don't know what the Mustang uses. It might be electric. I know a lot of the Ford diesels, they had a 12 volt vacuum pump to work the brakes and whatever in the car or truck needed to be worked. The Super Duty Fords had a vacuum, you know, the auto four-wheel drive was vacuum. Had manual locking hubs on the front end, but it also would lock them with vacuum. And so it had electric vacuum pump for all that. So anyway, so what you're seeing is when the older cars carbureted in early fuel injection, they hooked that intake vacuum to a valve cover. And on the other side, the other valve cover, it has a line going from the intake, under the intake, I guess you'd say, from the crankcase to the air intake, you know, where your air filter is. That way it could recirculate all of that stuff. You know, it pulls the air in the air filter and through the motor and back into the intake. So they would do that, and it would have the crankcase, if the engine was in good shape, the crankcase would be under vacuum. And when you pull the oil cap, you wouldn't see that puffing of air. Well, now that we don't have the vacuum for the crankcase, when a piston moves up and down, the air in the engine has to move, so it's pushing it out, pulling it back in. You see it puffing out, but you don't see it pulling back in. Now, I did another test, and if you have this same issue with your car and your shop's telling you need a new motor, take a Walmart grocery bag and put it where your oil cap goes. Seal it up the best you can, and you'll see if it was true blow-by, if it was steadily puffing out and not pulling back, it would blow that bag up like a balloon. Or you could use a balloon, or you could use a rubber glove, mechanic's glove, whatever. But true blow-by would blow that up like a balloon, and it doesn't do that because it's puffing the air out and pulling it right back. So the motor in this car is fine, 125,000 miles. Probably uses a little oil just because they don't build them as tight as they used to. And anyway, that's the name of that tune. Comment what your opinion of the whole situation is. Tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Whatever you want to do, however you want to handle it. Do your research, do your homework, and you'll see other people saying the same thing. These shops, a lot of these shops have young mechanics, and they're just not familiar with what changes have been made to some of these engines or how it affects them. A lot of them are familiar with the direct injected, but they're not, they're not familiar with the no intake vacuum and all that kind of mess. But anyway, that's all we got about the Mustang. The old Nissan here, if you're a follower, watch all my videos. I've decided to scrap that car. I'm going to send it to my brother's salvage yard. I'm scared of the transmission being bad, having 135,000 miles on it. It has a CVT transmission in it, and I can buy an engine for this car for $300, but it needs a fender and a bumper cover. It needs a glass right there by the mirror. The shifter lockout's broke. You can't get the key out of it. I got to fix that. Got a door handle broke, needs new tires. Well, I'm afraid if I put an engine in it, get it running, and find out the transmission's bad, then it's all for naught. It ain't going to be repaired anyway, so we're going to send it. Heck, we're just going to cut our losses. It's going to be a big loss, but oh well. We're going to send it to the scrap yard and be done with it. And then I got that car. I'm going to do a video on that car. I sent that, y'all, if y'all follow me, it needed a head gasket. I decided to send it to a shop, and they just weren't very thorough. They brought it back and said it was ready, and I come out here and just started it up and let it run, and it overheated sitting here in the driveway because they were just watching the gauge, which it didn't show hot on the gauge, but it was boiling the water in the coolant reservoir. The thermostat wasn't opening, and so I put a thermostat in it. It's fine. Now, the work he did was good work. He just not thorough on his making sure everything's right, Just get in it and drive it and be done with it. But yeah, it's kind of strange that it never showed overheating on the gauge. Of course, well, I'll have to wait and do a whole video on that. If it's got an air pocket where that temperature sender is, that temperature sender, it's not going to read anyway. But we'll do a video on this car when it cools off. I had to do one on this Mustang today because they're going to take it back to the granddaughter's college. But I got to work on the air conditioner. He brought it back to me. The air conditioner's not working, so I got to do that. And when I do that, we'll make a video on that car. But I'm gonna wait till it cools off a little bit. I've I don't know if I've done a video on it, but I'm finally out of federal financial jail. Got my disability award, and I actually got it in October, but I hadn't really done anything. And I tell you what, I went 17 months with hardly no income. And I didn't do anything but sit on the couch and watch TV because I could, I had to squint every little dollar I could save, scratch, and I couldn't buy car parts, so I couldn't be out here working on projects. I actually sold the Tomberlin golf cart, sold the Yamaha three-wheeler, sold the go-kart, all that stuff because I'm trying to keep from borrowing money from people till I got my money. I don't want to have to, when I get my money, have to just give it to everybody. So I ended up borrowing $1,000 one time from my brother. And then when I sold my Corvette, sold the yellow Corvette, I paid him back. So I didn't have to, I made it through it. 17 months living on $800 a month. My county retirement, I made it through it without a bunch of credit card debt or owing everybody you know, and I wasn't behind on any of my utilities. So that was a good deal. You know, the difference that I made up in the income was from selling projects and things like that. Maybe do an odd job here or there, help somebody out. But we made it through it, so we're good now. I don't know what the future's going to hold. Sitting on the couch for 17 months, not being able to do anything because of not wanting to spend any money on parts. Now I'm a big old marshmallow. I'm so out of shape, I can't hardly do nothing. Can't hardly get up and down off the ground, get under one of these cars. It's no fun. Getting old sucks. I don't recommend it. Well, that's about all I got. And I was going to mention, you know, like and share my videos. I appreciate it. You know, maybe it'll do somebody some good. I try to do something educational in every one of my videos. There have been a few that were just for fun, like off-roading the two-wheel drive Colorado, and the Father's Day video of my son stealing my vet and tearing the motor up in it. And, you know, he denied it, and then when I told him why I knew he did it, then he finally fessed up, and he said, I don't know how you knew all that stuff. I said, yeah, well, I've been around the block a time or two. You know, I know what I did, and when something's different, I know somebody's been monkeying with it. But you go through my playlist, there's some entertaining stuff on there. Maybe watch it with your kids and let them learn a little bit about kids. It's pretty important that your kids learn about cars because, you know, not that they're going to change a car, change their own oil or work on their own car, but they need to be educated enough about what's going on with their car, like my daughter and my son-in-law. Neither one of them are mechanics. But when that guy said the motor wasn't any good in that car, they said, that doesn't sound right. Let's see what Grandpa got to say about it. And, you know, where normally if they didn't have anybody to come to or didn't have anybody to guide them, they would just, you know, sell the car. Somebody would have got a hell of a deal on a good car thinking the motor was bad. But anyway, share my videos, watch them with your kids, play them at your family get-togethers in the background. Maybe somebody will get interested in it. Seems like a lot of the real young kids, 4 or 5 years old, they like to watch the car stuff. I don't know if they're getting anything out of it, but they like to watch it. And I don't always get on here and holler like. But, you know, one thing I've noticed, I've got a video that has 9 likes. Now, you would think somebody would see 9 and think, geez, I could make that 10. Or maybe they see one that's at 79 and think, wow, I could make that 80. But I do that. I watch people's videos. You know, I watch Cletus McFarland. He's got 9 million likes. He don't need one from me. Wouldn't notice it if I did it. But if you watch a small YouTuber and he's got 149 likes, give him one, make it 150. That'll brighten his day. But, well, comment. Tell me what you think. I guess I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. I'm like Clay Millick, and I'm rambling. But you got to make these videos 10 minutes or longer, or you don't get to play ads. And I'm not monetized, but if I ever do get monetized, then hopefully it'll pay off. I am at 617 subscribers. Appreciate each and every one of you. I've probably had almost 100 come on this year. I hadn't even made a video. Probably been a year since I put a video out. I don't remember. I think the last video I did was working on my ham radio. That was 6-8 months ago, something like that. I don't know. But I hadn't put out many videos. But I have been playing with my ham radio antennas and stuff like that. So I am still alive. Appreciate y'all watching. Hope you do some liking and subscribing and sharing and all that. And this is going to be a clickbait video. I'm going to title it My Motor's Bad or Mustang Motor's Junk or I don't know. See what I can come up with. All right, y'all have a great day. Get out there and work on something. Work on a bicycle, lawnmower, restore you some old car. Get out there and get your hands dirty. See you later.